again. I'm hoping I'm live. As always, I'm going to go and do my little check, looking across my desk at my iPad to make sure that everything's looking all right. So bear with me while I do that. Let's have a look. Oh, and it looks as if I'm there. That's good. I'm hoping you can see me. Looks like there is somebody there, so you're welcome. Okay. Right, so if you're there, do say hello. If you're not local to me, tell me where you're watching from. And hopefully people are going to catch up soon. Okay, let's have a look. Mary. Mary's the first name to come up. Hi Mary, I know where you are. You're close to me, so welcome. It's a really nasty afternoon here in the New Forest. I don't know what it's like where you are. We've had some rain. It's grey again. It's really chilly. So I think in the craft room is the best place to be. I've got my light shining on me. I look very lit up when I look at myself on my iPad, but hopefully that's going to help you see what I'm showing you and making in a minute. But it seems to churn out a lot of heat. It's LEDs and I didn't think they were supposed to be very hot. But anyway, it feels quite hot, but it's so cold out, that's probably a good thing. I've got a nice cup of tea. I don't know if you've got something nice by you. You may be finishing off the Christmas chocolates, or are they long gone like in my house? Alright, so today I'm going to have a look at Sale-a-Bration. I'm going to flip through the Sale-a-Bration brochure and show you what I've got. I'm going to tell you how you can get some things for free over the next couple of months, and I love free. So that's a good thing. I'm going to show you some things that I've made using some of the things that you can get for free. And I'm going to show you one or two tips and tricks with one of the stamp sets. So I'm hoping that sounds like it's going to be an interesting hour or so. I'm looking forward to spending time with you again. It was so nice yesterday. Thank you for your lovely comments. I enjoyed reading those both during and also after. And some people who watched this on replay, either here or on YouTube, thank you for your comments too. Belinda's here and she says hi to me, but also hi to you, Mary. So yes, we can't meet face to face, but it's so nice to be able to chat online. All right, so what do I need to remember to say to you? There's been no extra news since yesterday. I got my first orders in for the new catalogue yesterday, so that's exciting. Hopefully they won't take too long to get here. If you've got a Sale-a-Bration brochure, you'll want to have that ready to look at as I go through. That will make life a lot easier. If you don't have a Sale-a-Bration brochure but would like one, drop me a message or a comment and I will get one sent out to you. As always, if you can like or love this video and if you can hit that share button, that really helps me get seen by people that might not know about me otherwise, and other people who enjoy crafting can join us, and that would be great. Thank you. Lorraine's here. Hi Lorraine, welcome. Nice to have you here. She says hello to everyone. Okay, and oh yes, I will just mention that once I finish today, I hit the buttons that mean this video stays on this Facebook page. It'll be there forever. If you come to it or want to go back to it later, I should say, if you have a look on the photos and videos section, you should be able to find it in there. Or if you prefer, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is called Handmade at Home with Sally Bowman, and I will upload the video there once I've finished live with you here. And I've got a playlist there for the January to June mini catalogue launch, so you can see yesterday's video there already, and by the end of the week there'll be 4 of those, so you could just sit and watch one after another if you wanted. Okay, Mary saying hi Belinda and Sally, so good to be able to do this. I'm glad you think so, Mary. Yeah, I'd much rather be in a room with all of you, stamping with you and eating cake and so on, but we can't do that, and who knows when we'll be able to. So what can we do? Well, we can at least do this, can't we? All right, so I'm going to cover over the camera lens, put you face down so you can see what's on my desk, and I will be back with you in a minute. So today's post-it note is yellow. So we're going to go very sunny and yellow, I hope. Hope it will look nice and sunny and yellow, while I work a little bit of magic and change everything round. I'm never quite sure of the order to do things in. I don't know whether to move where my phone is first, or whether indeed to press all the magic buttons first. I've gone with moving the stands, so now I'm just going to fiddle with things so I'm round the right way. and all the writing I show you is round the right way, and I'm not upside down. So we're getting there. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the post-it note, but if you're prone to motion sickness, don't look back yet. I'll tell you when I think I've got it right. And I'll just make those last adjustments. But I can't do those until I can see it on my iPad and see it's caught up. Well, that's not looking too bad, is it? Let's move things left a little bit. They're reasonably straight. Let's just see if I can straighten that just a little bit. Ooh, wrong way. There we go. You'd think I'd remember, wouldn't you? It was only yesterday I was doing this, but apparently not. All right, so if I move that down, we should be pretty much there. All right, so this is the Sale-a-Bration brochure. So those of you that I know are watching me live right this minute, I know you've all got one of these. Thanks, Belinda. You're saying it looks good. Fabulous. So this is going to last you until the end of February, and there are 3 ways that you can get free stuff. So the first way is when you place an order with me, and if you place an order that is valued at £45 of products or multiples thereof, then you can choose free stuff from the brochure. There are a couple of things in here which are kind of double value, if you like. So if you spend £90 in one go on products, you can choose one of those, or you can choose 2 of the lower value items. Some of the things in here coordinate with things in other catalogues, and there are also a couple of collections of things to make specific projects they show. So I'll point those out as we go, and then I'll talk about the other 2 ways that you can get free stuff later on. So let's kick off. So I'm opening this up here, and it tells you just inside here how to get free things by buying lovely Stampin' Up products. So this first page is the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper. This is really pretty. I love the soft colours. I'm a sucker for florals anyway. And this has got big scale flowers and small scale flowers, plus some interesting abstract designs. I'm going to show you the actual paper, but before I do that, I'm just going to point out here, you can probably see I've scribbled on my catalogue. When I sent these out to you, I enclosed a little strip of paper with a typed amendment on it, because there is a typographical error on this page. It tells you that this paper coordinates with the Pretty Perennials bundle. Now, I did show you that yesterday. And actually it does coordinate quite nicely with that, but it coordinates better with the In Bloom bundle rather than the Pretty Perennials bundle. So both of those are in the new mini catalogue. And if you have a look at the samples they've done here, there are some leaves here cut with sort of some dies with stitching on them. And they show you a couple of dies here as well, which they've actually used to cut out of these kind of watercolour shaped pieces of paper. So those dies are from the In Bloom bundle, not the Pretty Perennials one. So make sure you keep that piece of paper. You might even want to just stick it in there so that you know in case you need the coordination. So I'm going to show you the paper. And it's 12 by 12 paper, which means I'm not going to fit a whole sheet under my camera for you to see in one go, but I'll do my best with it. So there we go. You get 12 sheets in a pack. So this is free paper. 12 sheets in a pack. They're 12 inches square and they're double-sided. You get 2 each of 6 different double-sided designs. So this is the first one. And then it's got this small flower pattern on the back. And I'm just checking the colours so I can tell you that. So this pink is Rococo Rose. We also have Night of Navy, Old Olive, Seaside Spray and Soft Sea Foam. And I've missed one. Yeah, Petal Pink. So we've got Petal Pink, Rococo Rose, Night of Navy, Soft Sea Foam, Petal Pink, and I'll show you some Old Olive in a minute. Here we go. No, not. I think I told you that was Sea Foam. It's not. It's Seaside Spray. All these beach things are confusing me. Here we go. So here's another sheet. You can see we've got the greens on here, Old Olive and Soft Sea Foam. On the other side of that, we've got some lovely stripes, and I don't know if I lift that up if you can see the background. It looks a bit like white, but it's actually not white. It's got like a watercolor wash across the white areas. And the stripes are slightly irregular. They look like someone's drawn a paintbrush down rather than just computer generated the stripes, which is the kind of thing that I really like. This one again has got a kind of a washed background, and then you've got these little sprigs of flowers in pinks and blues. And I love this one on the back. I'd like a blouse in that. Maybe not a paper one, but I do love that print. So here we've got really big, bold splodges of watercolour, and of course you can cut leaves and flowers out of these using dies or punches, or you can just use it as a background, a bold background, maybe with a large die cut word or stamped word across it. That would be really eye-catching. And then we've got this one here. It reminds me of the kind of the tread you see on, you know, those metal, I don't know what they're called, metal sheets you walk on where they need to be non-slip, and they've got this kind of raised tread on them. So this is another one with big flowers. This time it's on a navy background, and on the back of that is this lovely leaf print. This is so usable. And then this one is bigger flowers, but they're more dainty large flowers on a white background, so it's quite a light and airy pattern, this one. And on the back it's got this interesting line and dot grid pattern, again on a sort of a watercolour washed background. So I really love these. If you're doing something large scale like a gift bag or a box, they would be fabulous for that. But they're surprisingly good cut down as well, and there's more you can do with them on top. So let me show you just one card that I made with that paper. Hopefully that's more or less in the middle. I think it is. Yeah, straighten things up. There we are. So I actually cut flowers out of some of the paper for this. I'll find the sheet and show you. There we are. So I used this paper here, the one with the navy background, and I literally cut out the flowers using scissors. They've got really simple shapes, so they're not difficult to do at all. These little ones here, I used Night of Navy, which is the dark blue that's in here, Night of Navy card, and I cut those out using the, it's the Forever Flourishing dies, I want to say. Is that correct? Somebody will know. But I just cut some out with card, and I layered these flowers on top of a stitched oval, and then this leafy paper is one of the patterns that I showed you as well. It's actually on the back of the same piece that I cut the flowers from. I'll lift this up as well. Hopefully you can see the background layer I embossed with the Diamond Dots embossing folder, which I really like. I think it's called Diamond Dots. And I've added just some of these elegant faceted gems on here. Oh, and that was also cut with the same die set as these. I've added a bit of old olive ribbon. So that is a card with no stamping on it at all. I've just used card and paper for it. And I have used, when you have a sheet of the patterned paper, you get these kind of part flowers on the edges which have been cut off. And I did use part flowers in this. I'm just trying to think which ones. That's a part flower, so is that one, and so is that blue one. So you don't have to only cut out the whole flowers. You can use bits and pieces of flowers and just kind of layer them up so that the bits that are cut off are hidden. So that's that card. I'm really pleased with that. I had a lot of fun making it. I quite like to cut out when I'm watching television. So you can sit with a big sheet of this and cut out all those flowers while we're watching television. And then you'll have a pile to make into cards the next day. Right, I'm going to move this paper out of the way because it's amazing how much space it takes up. And then I'll be able to show you something else. Okay, noise is off probably. Probably hear all that rustling. That's all my papers being moved. All right, so that's the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper. It's really lovely. I need another pack of this already. So on the next page, page 4, here's a free stamp set. You can get the Darling Donkeys. Now, I don't have these, and if I'm honest, it's not really my kind of style. Occasionally I'll buy a set which I might label as cute, but not very often. However, this has been immensely popular with people who do enjoy this kind of style. It's lovely for colouring in. It's fun with children. I've seen quite a lot of New Year cards with the numerals for 2020 cut out and this little donkey kicking them away, because the less said about last year the better, I think. All right, and if you like the samples that they've used here, then this one is where you can get what they call a project collection. So you get everything you need to create the cards that you can see here, and they list across the other side here what you would get. So for the donkeys, for instance, you get the enamel dots, you get a selection of the neutrals card, you get some white card, and you get some designer series paper, the Stamping Blends markers, and the Memento ink pad, and that totals £58, which means you get your stamps for free. So I hope that makes sense. So if you like the project on a particular page and it says there's a project collection, so you'll get all the bits you need for that, and then with your free item for spending that amount, you'll be able to complete the cards. Now, because this one includes Whisper White card at the moment, that is on back order, I believe. I think you can order it, but it will be delayed while we wait for the basic white to come in and replace the Whisper White. But it's on its way. It's not going to be too much longer. I believe it has actually arrived at our warehouse and it's waiting to clear customs. So hopefully that won't be too long. So turning over again, so this is another set here that I don't have. This is the Approaching Perfection stamp set. It's a really nice birthday set though. You can read all the sayings yourself. I won't read them all out to you, but one here I really like is: the bad news is I forgot your birthday, the good news is I forgot your age. So that's a fun one. You've got birthday candles and a balloon and a happy birthday, so that's a really great birthday set. And they've used those words on some of these cards, and then they've also used the other item that's shown on here, which is this ombre designer series paper. I know quite a few of you have already ordered this ombre paper. This is beautiful, and I'll show you some of it. There are 4 colours in the pack. They're 6 inches square, the pieces, and you get 48 sheets in a pack. So you get 12 in each colour. And you can see that I've cut up an awful lot of my pack already. And there are 2 patterns. So this one is Bermuda Bay, and it has this little hand-drawn circle look to it. And I hope you can see, let me move that catalogue out of the way so it doesn't confuse things, that it moves from dark to light on the diagonal like that. And then you also get some plain sheets of Bermuda Bay with a straightforward ombre shading from dark to light. And then on the other side of these, you've got the same but in a different colour. So the Bermuda Bay one has got Rococo Rose on the back with the circle pattern, and Rococo Rose in the plain ombre. So then you also get, let's say Blackberry Bliss. Let me make sure I've picked that right. Yes, Blackberry Bliss in the ombre, so light to dark. And on the flip side of that, Granny Apple Green in the ombre. And Belinda's saying the ombre paper is lovely. She's finding it very useful. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Belinda. There's so much you can do with it. You can make it a focal point on your projects, or you can use it for shading. It's really brilliant. And then the other one of those is the circle pattern. So again, this ombre goes on the diagonal. So that one's Granny Apple Green, and on the back of it we've got Blackberry Bliss. So there are 12 sheets of each of these. I never know how to fan these to show you. Let's put them like this. So you'll get 12 sheets of each of these. So you get 4 different colours in the circles and the same 4 colours in the ombre to give you 48 sheets in total. So I'll show you just one project that I've made with those. I've used some of these in my team meetings where we do crafting together and various other things. I'm not going to get that in there quickly. Let's just move that out of the way. And I'll just bring in this kimono card, which is made with some of that ombre paper. And I started with the dark up in this corner and allowed it then to fade down towards the bottom there. So it's really pretty, whether you're going to use it as layers or whether you're going to make more of a feature of it as I have here. I think I had that too high. Let me move that down a bit. Sorry if you didn't see the top of that. I'll drink some tea just while you have a quick look. All right, so that is the Oh So Ombre Designer Series paper. So the corner bouquet set I'm going to come back to because I'm going to actually show you some crafting with that. And this one here, Heal Your Heart, I think this one perhaps to start with is a little bit off-putting because you've got Sorry for Your Loss. And I think, you know, sometimes we can be a little bit superstitious about this, or we don't want to think about it. And you don't necessarily need an awful lot of sympathy stamps in your collection. You may have one that you don't need, so you don't need another. However, other things in this set I think are really, really nice. And I'm just going to bring the box in here because that's a little bit bigger and easier to see. I really like this one. I can't promise to always fix your problems, but I can promise you won't ever face them alone. I don't know what I would do without you. I've said that to quite a few people over the recent months when life's been so difficult. Thank you. I love this script font. I think that's so pretty. I'll be using that one a lot. We're in this together, and the other one is Wishing I Could Heal Your Heart, which is where the title of the set Heal Your Heart comes from. So I think that's really, really nice. It's a lovely set, and I think that might be a bit of a late starter. I think people might come to that once they've perhaps had the pretty things first. And so here they've used that on 3 of these cards here. So that's a lovely set. The Flower and Field Designer Series paper, if you had one of my catalogue packs, you will have had a couple of things made using this. The calendars I put in there were made using this paper, and so were your little post-it note holders. I'll show you a project I made with my team in December. That seems like a long time ago, where we made these little boxes. Let me stand that one up, which are very cute. And this paper looks quite busy when you see it in a large sheet, but when it's cut down, this print is a very small scale, and it really works, I think. If you were with me yesterday, I was using that big sentiment die whose name completely escapes me. Cannot think what that's called, but anyway, Many Messages. There we go. So these little tags and sentiments are from Many Messages. So that's some of it made into little boxes. I haven't got an awful lot of it left because I cut up so much of it to send out with catalogues, but I will show you some of the actual paper. So again, this is 12 by 12 paper. You get 12 sheets in a pack. It's double-sided, and you get 2 of each sheet. So some of this I've only got little scraps left. So if I move those out of the way just for a minute, this is the only piece I've got left of this design, but it's very pretty. It's got daisies with little blue bits on them, green leaves and yellow centres on a black background. So it's really, really lovely. This is the only piece I've got left of this print. Put it that way, you might be able to see more of it that way, I think. Again, this is really, really pretty. This one in particular, you can actually see the brush strokes on it. If I lift that up, on this leaf here, for instance, you can actually see the paint. So these have actually been painted by the Stampin' Up artists and then rendered digitally and turned into paper. So they're really, really pretty. Reminds me a little bit of folk art or barge painting. And if I put this little scrap here, you can see we've got the same flower here. So they do kind of echo really nicely across. You can use, you know, bits of them together. If you make those sort of patchwork cards where you have various pieces of patterned paper, these will work really well because they just relate so nicely. Again, I've only got a small piece of this one left. But if I bring this back, you'll see this yellow flower is repeated very similarly in here. And these little pink flowers are very close to these blue ones, so they all relate nicely. And I haven't shown you the backs, have I? I forgot that altogether. Let me show you. The back of this one is polka dots. The back of this floral one is herringbone. And the back of this daisy one is these lovely painted leaves. So I must remember to show you the back of these other pieces as well. So those ones I've just shown you are all over designs. This is a one-way design. You can see that the flowers are very obviously sitting up that way, but it's very pretty. Poppies and maybe buttercups and perhaps little daisies, I don't know. Lovely. And then yellow polka dots on the back. I'll tell you all the colours in just a moment. This one is really elegant, very pretty blue roses with white polka dots. And on the back there's this little floral, slightly abstract floral all over pattern. And then finally this one, which again looks very busy, but if you cut it up it looks a whole lot easier to work with. And on the back of that are some stripes. This is really fun on the inside of an envelope or the inside of a bag. You've got flowers on the outside and stripes on the inside. So the colours in this paper pack are Bumblebee, Cherry Cobbler, Flirty Flamingo, Granny Apple Green, Just Jade, Misty Moonlight, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Poppy Parade, Pumpkin Pie, Shaded Spruce, So Saffron and Whisper White. There's an awful lot of peas in there. All right, let me move those out of the way. There we go, and I'm going to move my boxes as well. Let's move those. There we are. So once again in here, they're offering a project collection. If you like the card samples they've made, then you can put in for a project collection and order everything you need to make the cards there. That they list out here. I think this one doesn't have any card. Oh, it does have card bases. Yeah, you've got the Memories and More card bases in there. Card bases and envelopes. So your actual card bases are all ready for you here. Then you'll also get the Happy Thoughts stamp set. You'll get a Memento ink pad, and you'll get the gingham ribbon, and then free, because you've spent your money on there, you'll get the pack of paper so you can make all the cards. And once again here you can see that they have cut out some of these flowers. So the bolder designs of flowers cut out beautifully to add to your cards. So really lovely paper that. I do like it. Alright, and now I'm going to show you the two free items that you need a bit bigger spend for. So if you've got some Christmas money or you've got a big wish list, these might be things that you could get. This stamp set is A Touch of Ink. This is a double stamp set. So there's a lot of stamps in it, and they are big stamps as well. This is the box. And they're shown at 65%. So if I just open the box and show you, and take that one out. So it's not the easiest of things to see. Let me pop it, I don't know if that's easier or not to see, on my scrub. And here is the box. If I turn it over, it'll be the same way round as on the box. So you can see here is that image on the box, and here is this image in real life. So they are quite large stamps. It's a two-step stamping set. So once again, you have outline stamps with line art on them, which you can use on their own. You've got some watercolour wash kind of fill-in or colouring in stamps, and those go over the top. The idea is that you stamp your outline and then you can stamp to colour them in, and I'll show you some that I've done. Because they're photopolymer stamps, you can see exactly where you're going with them, so you can easily see where to stamp this colouring in stamp over the top of your outline. Some people find it easier to stamp this one and then stamp the outline over the top. Others to stamp the outline and then fill it in, and there's no right or wrong about it. You can try both ways and see what is easiest. I will say, and you'll see when you see my cards, this is a kind of an approximate fill-in. It's a bit as if you'd gone shush 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 with your watercolour brush. When I say anything about watercolour painting, I always think about you, Mary, because you are such a beautiful watercolourist. And I'm sure you don't go like that at all, but that's how I kind of imagine that that people go. So the watercolour is not painted exactly inside the lines, but that just makes it look a little bit more artistic. Oh, my light's just gone off. It'll come back on in a minute, hopefully. Let's just get a little bit of charge, and then hopefully it'll come back on. I'm sorry if it's gone a little bit dark and shadowy. I get no warning on my light. It's got a battery in there and it's absolutely fine, and then it's not, but it doesn't tell me it's running out, and I haven't been able to work out exactly how long it lasts before needing charging. There we go. Right, we're back on. All right, so the other thing you've got in here are a whole series of words. You've got best wishes, thank you so much, thinking of you, and then you've got hello friend, hope and love. So really, really nice words. There's a little dotty background stamp there, which is really useful. You can use it on your images, or you can use it just to add some texture to the background, and a little tiny leaf as well. I think this is a beautiful set. I'm just going to pop that one in so I don't lose it. And I'll show you a couple of cards I've made with it. So first of all, I made one with the hummingbird, which I really like, and the flower. So you can see with this that the shading is not completely exact. If I lift that up a little bit closer, hopefully you can see I've done my outlines in basic grey, and then I've gone over the top. This one is just jade. I stamped it off once and then stamped the shading, and you can see that it goes over the lines, and I rather like that. And then this one is so saffron. So I did my stamping. I also stamped thank you so much, and then I put my stamped card through my die cutting and embossing machine with the oh, it's the textile embossing folder, and I cannot remember the full name of it. It's the something textiles anyway, which has given it this really, really nice texture and feel. It's worth saying that if you need a precise measurement for your card, then cut your card bigger than you need and emboss it, and then trim it to size, because some of the embossing folders, and this is one of them, really do shrink your card because it's going up and down and up and down. A bit like if you concertina something, the card becomes smaller. So I actually cut this the size I wanted it, then embossed it, and then realised that it actually was smaller than I'd been expecting. And it's fine, I worked with it, I just cut my layers slightly differently. But I would recommend that you cut bigger than you need and then trim it to your measurement once you've embossed it. I think this was more than a 1/16 of an inch narrower and shorter, which doesn't sound a lot, but if you've cut your layers, it was really noticeable. So that's my top tip for that. And I don't know if the light will pick it up, but I did brush a little bit of Wink of Stella on the hummingbird. They often have such beautifully iridescent plumage that I wanted to try and mimic that with a little bit of Wink of Stella. So it doesn't look as if the camera is picking that up, but if it is, then good. And then I just added a few of the holiday rhinestones on there. Pam's joined us. Hi Pam, she says hello to everybody. So we've got through part of the Sale-a-Bration catalogue, Pam. I've shown some samples, and I know you'll be able to catch up on the replay afterwards. I'm just looking at Touch of Ink. And my second sample is a little bit more masculine. So with this one, I've used the leaf stamp here. And I've just stamped it. I stamped it towards the edge of my rectangle of white card 3 times, and I just joined on the second and third impressions. I just joined that stem up here in the V of those 2 leaves, and it was really easy to do because they're photopolymer stamps. You can see exactly where you're going. If I lift it up, it's pretty seamlessly joined. So I then ended up with a sort of a twisty trailing vine all along the side of my card. I stamped the filling in stamp over the top, and then I just used my paper snips to trim all the way around the edge, just cut off that edge, if you like, level with the stamping. Then I've layered that onto basic grey card. I used basic grey ink, and again I've used that textile embossing folder underneath, and I cut that piece of card the same size as my white one had been originally, so I've just got this textured part showing where I cut away the white. I'm hoping that makes sense. Pam loves this one. Thank you Pam. And Candy's here. Hi Candy. And then I layered that onto basic grey, and then my card base is Old Olive because that tones with the ink I used on the leaves, and also this here, which is the one of the sides of the first papers I showed you, which I can't remember the name of, the paper blooms. There we go, right at the beginning of the catalogue. It's this pattern here. So I just felt that worked really nicely to make a much more masculine card. This is from the Many Messages die, this little shape, and then the thank you so much is the one here in the stamp set up there. And then finally, I couldn't resist adding one of those little ladybirds crawling up the leaves. So, so that's my more masculine card. So there we go. Those two I think really are quite contrasting, but all done with that same stamp set. So I'm looking forward to playing quite a lot more with that. I'm drinking my tea before it gets too cold. All right, so that's a touch of ink, which you can get free with a £90 spend. And the other one that you can get with a £90 spend is this set here. So this is a two-piece set, if you like. You've got the Berry Blessing stamp set, and you've got the Berry Delightful Designer Series paper. I've got this on order. It hasn't arrived yet. I've been resisting it, but I decided in the end, you know, why resist? It's free. If I lift this up, I'm hoping you can see we've got all kinds of berries on the paper. We've got strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, and they're rendered in watercolour again. They're absolutely beautiful. The reverse side of the paper is more geometric, but again, all done in watercolour. Very, very pretty. This paper is 12 by 12 inches, and it's double-sided. And again, as usual, you get six designs with 2 sheets of each. And then the stamp set coordinates. So the images in here of the leaves, the blueberries, the raspberries are exactly the same as on the paper, which has to be the ultimate coordination. And they do coordinate absolutely beautifully with the sweet strawberry bundle in the spring and summer catalogue, which I should have put out on my desk, and I'm just going to reach across for. So I can show you. Now this one I have resisted, at least so far, but it is rather lovely. So there we are. So if I bring this out, there we are. So there's a sweet strawberry stamp set and a punch here, which of course you can get in a bundle. So the punch will punch out your strawberry and your calyx and your leaf and your little strawberry flower. And I can put that there perhaps, there we are. And then you can see that these free items coordinate beautifully. So this strawberry is the strawberry on the paper. And you know, the flowers are reflected in here and the leaves and so on. You've got words in both sets. This one is kind of verging on the kind of the fruit related, wishing you the berry best, bountiful blessings, and you always have a way of making my day. This one is a little bit more kind of everyday, if you like. Just for you, thank you, that was so sweet of you. Happy birthday, you sweet thing. But if you don't want to say you sweet thing, you could easily mask that off or ink it up using a marker and just not ink those words. And hello there as well. So they are really, really lovely together. As I say, I haven't got either of them yet, but watch this space. Prudence is here. Hello, Prudence. How nice to have you joining us from the Midlands. Right, I think it's about time I did a little bit of crafting. I did promise you that I would do something with the Corner Bouquet stamp set. Let's see if I can find that. There we are. So it's on page 8. I'm just going to move that brochure out of the way and pull in my stamp set here. So you get 4 stamps in this set. I've got one on a block, so it's not in the box, but you can see they're quite sizable. If I put my hand next to this largest stamp, that really is quite a large stamp. What does it measure? What's that? It's 4 inches across, here to here, and the height is a good 2.5, 3 inches, depending on which bit you measure. So that's a sizable stamp. This one's a little smaller, and then you've also got, oh sorry, I usually blue tack my grid paper down. I haven't done that today. I obviously should have done. You've also got this little leaf, and you've got this tiny little flower here, and they are like a silhouette stamp, really. There's all kinds of things in here. There's flowers and seed heads and grasses. So really interesting, and these two are similar, but they don't have exactly the same flowers in them. So this isn't just a miniature version of this, it is actually slightly different, and the two work together really nicely. if I bring back my brochure a minute and just show you a few of the things they've done here. Here they've stamped it and mostly hidden it, so it's just giving you out a little floral border peeking behind that die cut piece. This one they've used that large corner stamp and they've inked it up with, I don't know, they've used markers or they've used finger daubers with ink pads, but so that you can get different colours of ink all on the same stamp. So that's just two things that they've done there. And this one here, they've done an emboss-resist. I'm going to do something similar in a minute. And they've then painted ink over the top of heat embossed corner image. So the white embossing has stayed white because it resists the ink. So that you can do some interesting things with this. I've had quite a lot of people say, I don't know what to do with that, which is really why I picked it for today. I thought it would be good to show you a few extra ideas. So I'm going to reach down onto my bucket that's on the floor and pull out a few things. So bear with me. I've brought in the blender brushes again. Sandy's here. Hello, Sandy. Don't worry about being late. You're not late. You just weren't here at the beginning, and that's fine. And you can always watch what you've missed on the replay if you'd like to, either here or on YouTube. I'll tell you what I've got in just a minute. All right. So I'm just going to show you a sample I've made with it, and then I'm going to make a similar but different one with you. So this is my sample made using the corner bouquet. I'll give you a minute to actually look at that while I drink some tea. And if I pull it up to the camera, you see this is that large corner stamp which I have used in the corner. I've stamped the thank you. That's from the Sale-a-Bration Heal Your Heart set. And then I've used those blending brushes that I showed you yesterday to blend in some very delicate colours of ink. It's a bit more like a dawn than a sunset, I think, this one. And then I was going to put a bow on the flowers, but in the end I decided to wrap the ribbon all the way around and just have the bow down near the bottom instead. And I don't know if you can see, this black is shiny, so I have used heat embossing for an emboss-resist effect on that. So I'm going to be showing you that in a minute. I'm also going to show you how to use these corner stamps to not do corners. So there we go, there's going to be lots going on in this card. Right, so first of all I'm going to show you the heat embossing. Now I know lots of you know how to heat emboss already, but in case there are people watching maybe on the replay who haven't done heat embossing before, or if you haven't done it for a while, I'm going to just run over that very briefly, but with a twist. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use clear embossing powder. There we go. So this embossing powder is clear, but I'm going to use it to give you black embossing. Alright, so I've got a piece of just ordinary white card here, and I'll talk through how to heat emboss as I go, just as a reminder in case you need it. So for heat embossing you need a slow drying ink. I'm using Versamark ink. This is clear, it has no colour, but it's sticky and it's slow drying. And that's what we need because we're going to tip on some embossing powder, which is like a powdered enamel almost, and we need it to stick to the ink so that we can then heat it and melt it. So for the heating, I've got my heat tool here. These get very hot. The business end here is certainly hot enough to frizzle your eyebrows or your hair or burn your skin, so please be careful not to point it at any bits of you, just on your card. And then I've also got an embossing buddy here, which Stampin' Up used to supply and unfortunately don't any longer, but you will find them on eBay. So it's called an embossing buddy. It's just filled with talc, basically, ground chalk, and it's used to cut down on static electricity and to neutralize any grease or moisture from your fingerprints on the card, because the embossing powder is fine and it will stick to everything. So what I want is for it to only stick to my stamped image, not to any of my fingerprints or anything else. So I'm just going to rub that over the top of my card and then set that aside. So you can't see that I've done that, but believe me, it's going to work. And then I'm going to bring in my Versamark ink pad, but I'm also going to bring in my Memento, which is my water-based black ink pad. Now I want my image to be black and my embossing powder is clear, so there's no colour in my embossing powder. So what I want to do is actually stamp in black. Now if I just stamp in my black water-based ink pad, that ink is going to dry almost instantly and it won't stay moist long enough for the embossing powder to stick to it. So when I ink up my stamp, I'm actually going to use Versamark first of all, and then I'm going to use the black all on the stamp. So I'm going to have 2 layers of ink on here. And then when I stamp, I'll have the colour from the black ink and I'll also have the slow drying stickiness from the Versamark, and that will enable my embossing powder to stick. Now you need to work reasonably quickly with this because that black ink is still going to dry quite fast, and you need to have enough of everything on there. But that's the process. So first of all I'm going to ink up with Versamark, and I usually, unless I'm using a very small stamp, take the ink pad to the stamp because the ink pad is not very large. Then I'm going to use my Memento black ink pad. This is noisy because it's a felt ink pad, and so to get plenty of ink down I have to actually tap it pretty hard. And then I'm going to stamp, and then I'm going to tip on my embossing powder straight away. And because of the Versamark ink on there, it will stick to my stamped impression. And then I'm going to flick this card to flick off all the excess powder. If I can see I've got any clumped anywhere, I'll just rub it off with my finger, or you can use a paintbrush. I'll move that out of the way, and I'll just cap off these ink pads so I don't lean on them, and then I'm going to heat this. So once the embossing powder's gone on there, I've got a few minutes before I have to heat it. It's not going to unstick itself in that time. Then what I'm going to do is use the heat tool to actually melt that powder. You'll see as I do it that I only move the heat tool onto the next area once the first area has melted. I'm not going to wave it like a hairdryer, tempting though that is, because I have much less control over how quickly different areas melt and how much heat is applied to each area. If you overheat embossing powder, sometimes you can scorch your card or scorch the powder, and eventually the powder will sink into the card and then you don't get that raised shiny look that you're after. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to turn that on and give it a few seconds just to heat up. I've got it on the highest setting. I have got 2 settings on my heat tool. The first one is not so hot and it's great for drying ink, but the second one is the one that gets hot enough to melt the powder. And here we go. Any minute. And there we go. I hope you can see that white cast of the powder disappearing, and I'm just slowly moving the heat tool to melt all the powder across there. And then I always tilt it and let the light catch it and just make sure I can't see any areas that look powdery still. If I do, then I'll reheat on those areas because they're somewhere I've missed. Now that just needs a few seconds really to dry and cool. Yeah, so that's now hard, it's not sticky, the paper is cool enough to handle. And if I tilt that, I hope that you can see that's really shiny. So if I put all that aside, I am going to put the lid on this powder because I know from experience how far that will travel if I knock it off my desk. Alright, and I'm now going to bring in the blending brushes. I did some ink blending yesterday, so I will be doing some ink blending in front of you. But before I do that, I'm not actually going to do this. I'm going to complete a card that I've partially started. I was just aware of the time and I thought I may not get it all done in time. So this is the one I prepared earlier, and you'll notice that I haven't got a corner on here. I've actually got a border or a hedgerow or a field at the bottom. And the way I've done that is I've used the corner stamp that I've just shown you, but I've actually done it vertically rather than as a corner. So here's one that, again, I prepared earlier. So here's my stamp. So instead of doing it in the corner like that, I turned it and I stamped it across the bottom. So you can see that the bottom part of the stems are off the edge. And then I stamped it again. So without overlapping them, I just stamped it next door, and that gave me that. Now this I haven't embossed, I've just stamped this in ink to show you, which is why it's not shiny. If I bring back this one, you'll see this is much fuller, and that's because I filled in the gaps here with the smaller stamps in this set. So there's this leaf spray here, and there's this little flower, and I've just stamped those in exactly the same way as I showed you. So all of these images, I inked the stamp with Versamark, then I inked it with Memento, and then I stamped and heat embossed it. And I actually did these images individually. Sometimes I stamp everything and then heat emboss the whole lot, but this time I did do it one by one because I was being a little bit more careful with my placement. So I'm hoping you can see this is one of those corner images. Then that is the individual leaf. Maybe I need to lift it up a bit more. That's the individual flower. Then we've got another corner image. We've got an individual leaf and an individual flower, and then on this bottom corner here I stamped one of the flowers in there as well. So that's how I've actually got like a field of waving wild flowers using this corner stamp, and I think that makes it much more versatile once you know that. So I stamped and heat embossed those just as I've shown you. I will mention that, so this is my inky stamp. When I'm stamping multiple times like this using the two inks, I clean this stamp every single time. If I now put that into my Versamark ink, I'm going to end up with black ink in my Versamark ink pad. If I just stamp this on here, let's see how much black there is left on it. So that will all go into my Versamark ink pad. So I cleaned that stamp before I stamped again, and then I cleaned the little ones every time I'd use them for stamping as well. So I've stamped and heat embossed there. This is from the Dragonfly stamp set, which is called, oh, let me look at my shelf. Why can't I remember this? Dragonfly Garden. Okay, so these are from the Dragonfly Garden. Once again, I've stamped and heat embossed them. So that's what I'm now going to be working on to make a variation on that first card I showed you. I hope I haven't lost you in the process. I've explained a few things along the way there. So I'll now bring in my ink pads and just do a little bit of ink blending. I've got some slightly different colours this time. I've got Pumpkin Pie, Melon Mambo and Highland Heather. So if you saw me yesterday, you'll have seen me use these lovely ink blending brushes. So I just gently pick up a little bit of ink. I'm going to work on a scrap of paper here to try to not get ink all over everywhere. Try it out to make sure it's not going to be too dark. That looks okay. I think we'll have purple at the top this time. And then I'm going to work in a circle before I actually hit my card. So my brush is moving before it makes contact with the card. And you can see that as long as I don't have too much ink on, I can get an incredibly delicate shade of ink on my card. I'm hoping that you can see that. Very pale and pretty and delicate. So then I'm going to come in with the pink. This is Melon Mambo. I'll check that I haven't got too much, but that's quite intense, so I'm going to brush off a little bit of that ink. And then I'm going to come back with a strip of pink, and I want to overlap my purple a little bit, and then also put pink on a clean part of the card that doesn't have any ink on it. So I'm just going to keep this moving. And then I'm going to come back with the purple one and just blend over the line between those two areas. So I'm moving it first and then I'm moving it onto my card. If you have it stationary in your hand and put it down, you will get a blob, even with these beautiful brushes. They're much easier to blend ink with than anything else I've used, but you will still get blobs if your hand is still when you touch the card. And then last of all, some Pumpkin Pie. Again, it's a little bit dark. I want these really pale, so I'm taking a bit off on my paper, getting my hand moving, and then I'm going to touch the card, and I'm covering the rest of the card with the orange, including over the top of my stamping. There we are. And then just to blend the section between those two areas, I'm going to come back with my first colour, which was pink, just a little bit of pink, and go over the boundary between the pink and the orange. That just helps to blend them a little bit more. And then the final touch is to just polish off my embossing with a bit of tissue or kitchen roll, because although it resists the ink, it often picks up a little bit of ink sitting on it, and then you get a much shinier, brighter result. If I show you that, see, that's all the ink that was sitting on top of that embossing, and I'll just do my butterflies as well. Yeah, there was some pink and purple sitting on those. So that then is that finished panel of my card. You can see how quick and easy these blending brushes are to use. It adds so much interest to a piece of white card, and they really are so easy to use. I only did a very little practice before I started using them on the video yesterday. So I just think they're absolutely gorgeous to use. So I'm going to matte and layer that on some black card with a very, very fine board around it. I love the black as a contrast, but I don't want it to get too dismal. And using that multi-purpose glue allows me to slide the layer, so even though my borders are really narrow, I can get them nice and even. And then I'll pop that on my base card. I picked Melon Mambo for the card base because that's one of the ink colours I used, but it would have been nice on either the Highland Heather or the Pumpkin Pie. There we go, and I think I'm going to add a few little rhinestones. Oh, Andriana, hi, lovely to have you here, and thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Now, I know last time everybody said no rhinestones, but I just think this needs a little something. So I can't see where my take your pick is, so I'm going to have to use my scissors to pick these up. So let's have a look. These are the tiniest rhinestones. So for me that works. You could obviously put those somewhere else. Now I could come in with one of the Stampin' Right markers or even a Stampin' Blends marker and add extra colour to those butterflies if I wanted, but I'm going to stick with the kind of the silhouette look for this card. But there you are. So that is the corner bouquet set. How to use it and not get a corner, and equally how to use it with a corner. So there's the two cards with this stamp set, which you can get free with a £45 purchase. Now, I said there were 3 ways that you can get free stuff during Sale-a-Bration. So up until the end of February, you can also get free stuff by putting in a very big order. Now, if you might have been given some Christmas money, or you might have friends that like to craft. So if you or you with other people put in 1 or more orders which total £275, then you will get any of the free products I've already shown you, 1 for each £45 you spend, or if you spent £90 you could choose one of the larger rewards. And you will additionally, one of you, so if your name is on the big order, you will also get this free stamp set which is called Punch Party. This coordinates with the new double oval punch. These two here will be punched out by that punch, with the heart punch pack and with the rectangular postage stamp punch there and there. And you've got lots of words on here, and then you've got these little kind of border images which you can punch out and add some words to, and this one is already kind of designed in on that rectangle there. So that's how to get a free stamp set on top of all the things that you will get for your own personal Sale-a-Bration order. So if you're interested in doing that, if you've got friends that might like to order something, then talk to them, talk to me, and I can tell you how we can put it all together and get you some extra free things. And the other thing to say is if your order is big enough for you to actually get this stamp set, then you will also get some additional free choices of products. So for instance, a £275 order for this will get you around about £30 worth of other free products of your choice from the main catalogue, the annual catalogue, or from the new mini catalogue. So a really large order, whether it's all for you or whether some of it is for family and friends, can get you lots and lots of free stuff. And then finally, I'm going to talk to you about joining Stampin' Up. Joining is not just for people that want to run classes. It's also for people that like to sell their cards. It's for people that like to share their stamping in all kinds of ways, or it's for people that just really love stamping as a hobby. Would you maybe like to get 20% off everything you buy? Would you maybe like to get 25% off everything you buy? Well, when you join Stampin' Up, you automatically get 20% off all your purchases once you've joined up, which is pretty amazing. Even more amazing is the fact that when you join, you give an order for £130 worth of Stampin' Up goodies, but you only pay £99 for them, and they're shipped to you for free. And if you join during January or February, then what you'll also get are 5 packs of patterned paper. Yeah, 5 packs of patterned paper, free, just for joining. And the back page, page 18, actually the inside kind of back page, last page if you like, shows you all these beautiful colours here. And you'll get 5 packs of 6x6 patterned paper. Now these are our standard patterned paper in colour families, but the patterns on there you won't recognise because these are the new patterns that are going to be coming out in the next annual catalogue. So this is the only way you can get them at the moment. And you'll get a stack of 6x6 patterned paper in the brights colours. You'll get a stack in the regals, in the subtles, in the neutrals, and on the 2020 to 2022 in colours. So those are the current in colours. So that's Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, and Misty Moonlight. So 5 stacks of patterned paper. If you were buying those out of the next catalogue, they would cost you over £50. So you'll get those for free. You'll also get £31 worth of products for free because you only pay £99. So I've mentioned the discount on your purchase. Other nice things that you get when you join Stampin' Up are you can see the catalogues early. At least 4 weeks early before everybody else, and some of the items in those catalogues are available to you to purchase early. That's how I get my stuff early. I run a meeting every single month. In pre-pandemic days it was face-to-face. Nowadays we're meeting on Facebook Live, and then I upload it to YouTube afterwards. I send you out a crafting pack. So you can decide to join those meetings if you would like to, and we talk about Stampin' Up and we do a lot of crafting together, and when the pandemic allows we'll also be having cake, so that's got to be good. Stampin' Up run all kinds of wonderful events, and you can attend those as well if you are a demonstrator, and we call you a demonstrator, but you don't have to demonstrate, as I say. I have a team of lovely people. 1 or 2 of them run classes, some of them sell their cards, most of them just love to stamp, and they like to get the things that they were previously paying full price for at a discount. So you really are very, very welcome to join Stampin' Up and make some friends from people in my team. Some of you will know people in my team already from classes, and we can stamp together even more. It'd be so nice. You of course can still come to classes and other events that I run, whether you're a demonstrator or not. Anybody is welcome to those. So if you think you might like to do this, have a look on my website or contact me if you've got questions. If you go to sallybowman.stampinup.net, there's a section there on joining, and you can read that, and that's where you will join if you choose to. And the question, of course, you're wondering is, what's the catch? Well, actually there isn't a catch. if you join any time up until the end of March, you don't actually have to buy anything else beyond your starter kit, which costs you £99. And you'll remember you've got a lot of free things in that too. You don't have to buy anything else until the end of June. If you want to stay as a demonstrator after the end of June, then we have a quarterly minimum of purchases, which is around about £277. That could be things that you buy, it could be things that your friends and family want to buy. If you don't want to do that, then you just drop as a demonstrator. There's nothing you have to pay back, there's nothing you have to give back. Members of my team really enjoy being demonstrators, I know that. Belinda's just said that she agrees with Pam, who said being part of my team is the best thing ever. And thank you so much, Pam and Belinda, for saying that. Sandy, who's been watching with us, is also part of my team. I think it was Sale-a-Bration last year when you joined, wasn't it, Sandy? I know I've got you up on my calendar as having a Stampin' Up birthday fairly soon. So it's a fantastic time to join. If it's something you've been thinking about, join in Sale-a-Bration and get the extras. Get the 5 stacks of designer series paper, because why wouldn't you want to have a piece of patterned paper in every single Stampin' Up colour? I mean, what's not to like? So do think about that. If you got a catalogue kit from me, there was a sheet in there which lists out everything I've said. But if not, just send me a message or an email or give me a call, and I will really happily talk to you about joining Stampin' Up. Whether it's something you're interested in doing to earn a little bit of money, or whether you'd just like to get a discount on your purchases, I'd love to talk to you about it. There's no obligation. I won't give you a hard sell. I really don't need to, because it's a great deal. So thank you for listening to me tell you about that. That is the 3rd way you can get free stuff during Sale-a-Bration. So I hope I've given you some ideas. I hope I've talked to you a little bit more about things that might not jump out at you just by looking through the brochure. I can see that Belinda has said she wasn't sure about the corner set, but she's changed her mind. Well, that's always good. And Sandy's saying, yes, it was Sale-a-Bration last year when she joined my team. So that's terrific. So I'm going to turn the camera around very quickly, and then I can actually say a proper goodbye to you. It always feels a bit funny kind of talking when you're seeing my grid paper. I don't know what I do with my post-it. Let's go wild and use another one. So cover over the lens. Then I'm just going to move the stand and hopefully turn myself so I'm up the right way. There we go. Let's see how that is. That looks a little bit high. I might be looking up at the camera, but for speed, I'm going to call that done. So there we are. We're at the end of another live session. It's been so nice to have you here. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about the Sand and Sea suite, which is in the mini catalogue. I could tell you the page, couldn't I? That's page 40 to 42. So we're dreaming of summer tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to. And then on Friday, I'm going to be looking at the Fine Art Floral Suite. I can never remember these names when they're new. And I'm going to be showing you, amongst other things, how to use the new gilding flakes. I've been playing with them today. I've got gold all over my craft room because I'm a messy crafter. But I've got a few tips on trying to kind of keep them corralled so they don't have to be too messy. But that's on Friday. Tomorrow is Sand and Sea, and I really hope to see you then. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Lorraine's saying thank you, see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow as well. Thank you, Sandy said thank you. Belinda's going to be here again tomorrow, and Belinda says goodbye to everyone. So thank you ever so much, and I'll see you again soon. Have a good evening. Bye bye.